Rise and shine, Montclair. It is Tuesday, July 6th, and I hope you guys are all having a caffeinated and quiet and peaceful morning so far. My name is Sabrina Hajsok, and you are listening to the Summer Morning Buzz on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. I am joined here today with my co host
Kyle Pepitone.
and newscaster.
Issa Winek.
All right, guys, how are you guys doing? How was your 4th of July weekend?
Not gonna lie, little uneventful, but I'm cool. That's my thing.
For me, I had a wonderful time with family and I tried a bunch of new things. I'm actually coming from Maryland today as opposed to New Jersey, so I would say it was quite exciting.
How exciting. All right, guys, we'll get more into that later. But let's get this show on the road. First off, we have our newscaster, Issa, with her newscast. Take it away.
You're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. I'm Issa Winek with today's news update. From local and New Jersey news, as reported by NJ.com, forecasters say another blast of intense heat and high humidity will be sweeping across the Garden State today and Wednesday, with temperatures soaring into the low mid-90s. While this is not unusual for early July, the high humidity will be making it feel like it's as hot as 100 to 103 degrees. With that being said, the National Weather Advisory prompted a heat advisory in over 14 counties all over the state. The Weather Service advises people to keep cool by using air conditioning at home or to find a place for vulnerable friends and family members and neighbors to stay cool, hydrated, and just sane over these next few hours, and just make sure that no one is overcome by heat exhaustions and be careful for the signs. While mostly dry conditions are expected in the next few days, there's a slight chance of thunderstorms for Tuesday night and late Wednesday. For news coming from the United States, AP News states rescuers searched through the fresh rubble on Monday after the last of the collapsed Florida condo building was demolished, which allowed the crews into previously inaccessible places, including bedrooms where people were believed to be sleeping at the time of the disasters, what officials say. 3 more victims were unfortunately discovered in the new pile. The Miami-Dade Assistant Fire Chief Ray Jadala told all the family members, raising the death toll to 27 people. Another 118 people remain unaccounted for. Part of the existing debris pile was also helping support the remaining structure. City of Miami Fire Rescue Department Captain Carol said, rescuers are still holding out to hope reuniting with loved ones. Quote, we continue to remain focused on our primary mission, and that is to leave no stone unturned and to find as many people as we can, and to help bring either some answers to family and loved ones or to bring some closure to them, Carol said, end quote. For international news, according to the BBC, face masks will no longer be legally required and distancing rules will be scrapped at the final stage of England's COVID lockdown roadmap set by Boris Johnson that was confirmed yesterday. The Prime Minister said that he expected the final step would go ahead as planned on 19th of June. This will be confirmed on July 19th. And this will be all confirmed July 12th after review of the latest data on coronavirus trends in the UK. Further updates on school bubbles, travel, and self-isolation will follow in the coming days. And Mr. Johnson told the Downing Street news conference that he said that the removal of the legal requirements were due to the crowd courtesy and the compliance with the latest rules coming out and people getting vaccinated. And that also being said, many theaters in the UK will be also opening around the same time with more box office booms. As continuing with this last piece of my newscast for media news, Variety reports that the Fast 9, which is the latest of the Fast and Furious franchise of the box office, hit in overdrive. The 9th installment of Universal's action-packed Fast and Furious franchise surpassed $500 million in global ticket sales, solidifying its place at Hollywood's biggest theatrical hit from the pandemic era. After a delayed summer blockbuster season, the movie theater industry is encouraged by the in-theater Ensemblage 459. The theater industry, through the attendance across the globe, has returned pandemic. Though the attendance across the globe hasn't returned to pre-pandemic levels as expected, it is better than many people have projected, and many movies are coming out of the struggle for overcoming their budget anxiety after filming. Now, as for weather in Montclair, it's going to be quite rainy today with a high of 96 and a low of 72. Humidity will be around 49% with winds at 15 miles per hour. And hopefully, when the weather subsides, we'll have a lovely sunset at 8:35 p.m. And now this concludes my lengthy, but I hope informative news update for July 5th, 2021. From WMSC, I'm Isa Winek, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Issa. Fantastic newscast as always. But next, we're going to kick it over to Patrina for her special 4th of July newscast.
This is Patrina Geiger with your news update. On Sunday, July 4th, Macy's returned with its usual 4th of July fireworks on the East River after it was scaled back last year due to COVID-19. This year, Macy's event was back to normal, having hundreds of people come out to watch. WMSC's news director Louis Biondolillo and I got the chance to view the fireworks on one of the New York Waterway ferry boats on the Hudson, getting to see hundreds of other boats and people watching them as well. Biondolillo got the chance to speak with a woman on the ferry and asked her all about the fireworks and the 4th of July.
Yeah, it's an iPhone, a normal phone. So can you just tell me your name?
My name is Bo Swick.
Fantastic. And what are we doing today? What boat are you on? Like, where are we going?
Well, we are going to see the fireworks, the celebrations of independence of the United States. And this is the first one after the COVID. So it's going to be a super celebration.
And we've all been really locked down for an entire year. What does it mean to be back with everyone around?
It's exciting to see everyone smiling. People are opening to each other and happy to see each other and talk to each other. It's like being free, feeling free again. And this is independence. We feel independent right now.
And I hear you're going somewhere in the fall, but it's pretty far.
Yes, I'm going back to Poland.
And that's where you're from?
That's where I am from, yes.
How long have you been here?
4 years.
And so since you're from Poland, what does the 4th of July mean to you?
The 4th of July is the symbol of freedom, the symbol of independence, the fight for the liberation. It's inspiration for the whole world, actually, and we in Poland, we look up to America, and the Statue of Liberty is actually in New York, and the United States is a symbol of fighting for freedom. And
oh, fantastic. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And happy 4th of July.
Thank you.
The fireworks show was around 15 minutes long with lots of different fireworks going off, even at the Empire State Building. For WMSC, I'm Patrina Geiger.
All right. Thank you, Patrina. That was a wonderful addition to our newscast this morning. All right, guys, we're going to jump right into our first story, some rather sadder and more disturbing news. But over this 4th of July weekend, there were more than 400 shootings and at least 150 people were killed by gun violence just in the United States of America. According to the data compiled by the Gun Violence Archive, the 72-hour period from Friday through Sunday hit a surge in violent crime. For example, in New York, gun violence has been drastically rising. There were 26 victims from 21 shootings just this 4th of July weekend. Oh my gosh. So far this year, New York gun violence has spiked almost 40% over the same period in 2020. And just this year, there have been 767 shootings and 885 victims. In Chicago as well, David Brown, the police superintendent, raised concerns before the quote-unquote most challenging weekend of the year for police. From 6 p.m. Friday to 6 a.m. Monday, 83 people were shot, 14 were killed, 2 of them being little girls, 5 and 6-year-olds. All right, guys, so I am very honestly, I'm really shocked that this weekend brings so much violence. I mean, I expected, I guess, some injuries when it comes to just fireworks and that getting out of hand and people not knowing what they're doing and illegally setting them off. But to know that there was so much gun violence in the USA on such a patriotic weekend, it's kind of disturbing and sad. What do you guys think?
I am actually surprised because I really wonder where this comes from. One of my just opinions, it could be because not everyone is proud of being American. Well, I don't want to speak for everyone, and I'm not sure, is it just people having different opinions about the holiday, or is it general arguments, or they say how some people like could be like drinking more or under the influence due to like the holiday season being around and more partying. But yeah, it's a little sad to think, and I'm very surprised that it's happening all over the US. It's something just it's very strange. It's almost like a phenomenon of some sorts.
Yeah, I'm very on board with what you said. Like, definitely, like there's some people who, believe it or not, might be angry about the holiday itself. But my first thing that I went to is people tend to get a little bit more rambunctious around celebrations and stuff, and recently we've seen that kind of stuff, like all that rowdy behavior, become a little more violent, and unfortunately people have to pay the price for that. And it's horrible because this is supposed to be a time of enjoyment. The weather's, for the most part, finally nice out. It's been a long, well, I know it's July, so we're like halfway through the year, but like the winter has been horrible this year, especially February here in Jersey. And like we're all supposed to be celebrating this huge event with nice fireworks, which I get. Like by me, some of them were canceled somewhere either because of rain or still because of COVID restrictions, but it's still supposed to be something fun, barbecues, family, all that kind of stuff. And the fact that we have to come in here today and talk about this part of the weekend rather than like, oh, some really nice charity barbecue was going on is just heartbreaking.
Yeah, no, it's so sad. And like my question is like why? Like why is this happening? Like as I said before, I wouldn't be surprised if there were more injuries because of fireworks mishaps. I know I read before that there was a hockey player who died this past weekend because of a fireworks incident. And that's not so much as surprising as hearing all about this gun violence. And part of me wonders, is it because of the lack of celebration for some other holidays that angers people about these holidays that are so heavily celebrated? I mean, the 4th of July obviously is a big deal for the United States of America.
Right.
And people go all out. Every store sells something that's 4th of July related. And I just wonder if like maybe because people are possibly upset that not all holidays are celebrated to this extent. Like think about Juneteenth. Like they don't celebrate it the same way that we celebrate the 4th of July.
Very
And
true.
I don't know. I'm just trying to look at it from like a different lens, a different perspective. And it's crazy too, because this year has been so chaotic. Like we need to celebrate with good spirits. Like we've
Right.
gone through so much in 2020, even in 2021, like things are still going on. It's like, I wish we would all just come together on this one day and not do bad things and just celebrate and be happy and be grateful for what we have. Because at the end of the day, like as long as you have a positive mindset on your life, like life can be good. Like there's always hope, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I feel that what we should remember is no matter what happens, no matter how many crazy things occur this year, like you earlier said, Sabrina, and whether it's violent, whether it's something like groundbreaking, or whether it's something positive, negative, it's important to always stand your ground and kind of maintain this healthy, I would say kind of skepticism and awareness of the world around us and how it impacts us. Like just because all this news is happening, that doesn't mean we should start going crazy. Like we should still remember that, hey, we have family, we have friends, let's be there for them. And let's kind of get through this all together to kind of have this understanding, this awareness of what's going on, because of course that is important. We need to know what is happening in our country or what's happening in, like, for example, this past year, just be aware of the news and what's coming in and out. But it's also important to be a good person for others. And I feel the more we discuss these cases and different stories and news, it all comes back to being like unaware, but also stabilized person and being there for others.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And then it's like you read things like here where it says like there were two little girls in Chicago. One was 5 years old, and the other was 6 years old. And one of them got shot, and the other was injured. And it's like, imagine being these parents and hearing that on this great weekend something like this happens, and it puts you into perspective that this is life. You never know what's gonna happen. You never know what tomorrow's gonna be like. And I mean, some people say that's part of the fun, not knowing, but at the same time, this is this kind of stuff that goes on, which is tragic and devastating. So I guess my point is you really never know what like life is going to throw at you.
Right.
I must
Yeah.
say, and my heart definitely goes out to those people that I'm very sorry for what happened, and I just wish them much peace and love coming, and for their family, especially with dealing with such things, because people shouldn't be going through this, especially on such an amazing weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these weren't the only two instances in the article. It's like all over the country. There were a bunch of younger people. I forget the exact range of everyone, but it was like 5 and 6 year olds, 12-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 16-year-olds, that whole range of like pretty much kids at that point. And it's horrible.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I only included New York and Chicago as examples because the list just went on and on.
Yeah.
So I just took the two ones that stood out the most to me and just put them in there. But yeah, no, it's crazy too because I could have been reading about this news story for like another 10 minutes if I wanted to, but it's like, I'll try to keep it short and concise. But yeah, no, it's crazy to think about, especially violence increasing everywhere.
Yeah, and I'm really surprised. Like I really wonder why. Like it's strange. Like I said earlier, it's almost like some sort of special phenomenon or something. And I'm not sure, is this somehow connected to the post-COVID pandemic, like release of restrictions, or is it somehow related to like only specifically the holiday? Is it just different reasons in general?
Yeah, no,
I'm really not sure.
yeah. And I think too, for a lot of people, this could have been like the first big event that they went out for since the pandemic started. So
Yeah.
maybe a lot of people were antsy, maybe some people were on edge, and as mentioned before, mixed with like alcohol and who knows what, like you never know what's gonna happen.
Right. Very true. And I think another thing, I don't know, this is just speculation on my part, but I think the fireworks might have something to do with it because I forget exactly where I heard it, but and I don't know how true this is, but somebody or something told me once that the gunshots you hear in movies don't actually sound like that in real life. They sound more like a popping, so kind of like fireworks. So I think maybe there's that mentality of it's harder to distinguish between gunshot or firework that might give people like I'm not going to say it like that, but like give people that like the people on edge to like finally tip over and be like, all right, it's going to be harder for people to detect if I start shooting at them. And
Yeah.
I don't know exactly. I don't know how to think like a person like that, but I mean, logically speaking, that could be a possible reason.
Yeah, they're kind of using the fireworks as a scapegoat, which is
Right.
a very interesting point to bring up because like I'm thinking back to like this entire weekend. I'm just sitting here in my room. I literally FaceTimed Kyle yesterday and you could hear the fireworks going off in my background like all weekend. Like, that was just constant. So to put that into perspective, everything you just said, it just makes it so much surreal and crazier to think about. But moving on to some COVID related news. Kyle, take it away.
All right. We got some good news. We got a silver lining of good news coming out of New Jersey this weekend. An NJ health system can now detect the highly transmissible Delta variant of the coronavirus. As the Delta variant of COVID continues to grow as a concern in New Jersey, the Center for Discovery and Innovation can now spot it easily through a test developed a while back. The Delta variant has risen in cases to about 20 to 25% in the last month, and according to Dr. David Perlin, it is 60% more transmissible than the variant that originated in the UK. This test was developed out of necessity a couple of months ago when multiple variants started infecting the state back in December, and scientists needed a quicker way to analyze them. Because what was happening is through all the hundreds of samples being sent in at the time, it was taking too long to analyze each and every one to see what was going on. And in January, they began using molecular probing technology to test for the variants instead of the genome sequencing that they were using before, which now enabled Dr. David Perlin and his team to test hundreds of virus in only a few hours. The test can now also be altered if a new or unknown variant shows up, and Dr. Perlin has stated, quote, as long as we continue to have reservoir of virus, the virus will continue to evolve. And what we've learned is that this virus is not quitting, end quote. So basically, what's going on is through this test developed a few months back, scientists can now analyze for the Delta variant of the coronavirus, as well as any other variant past or any unknown ones coming up in the future, a lot quicker than they were able to in the past. And now we have a better chance of fighting this specific variant as well as the original base virus.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I don't know exactly how bad the Delta variant is in New Jersey right now, but I know in California it's really bad. And
Right.
like so much that I'm pretty sure that they are requiring masks indoors. I know in some
Oh,
cities,
wow.
not the whole state. Um, but yeah, no, that's fantastic. I feel like the technology has evolved so much since the start of the pandemic, and really kudos to all the scientists working their butt offs. Like, really, you guys are saving us. Like, thank you. If any of you guys are listening, you guys are doing great. Doctors, scientists, like, we appreciate you all.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it must be very difficult, especially with how they say this virus isn't backing down. It just keeps evolving, and it's almost like if it has a mind of its own, like it's just uh, becoming more intelligent and how to infect other people, which is, for me, it's kind of strange, but yeah, like I'm really happy that they're like staying consistent and just proactive on finding ways to stop it. And it's just amazing to see how their efforts are so highly like innovative and I would say like highly technological. Like we are really living in the world of the future. And I must say, yeah, same thing. I'm really proud of these people, and I urge them to push forward and keep going.
Yeah, totally. My favorite part about this is how easily they can now start scanning for new ones. So I don't know the exact quote, but Dr. Perlin said, when a new variant shows up, we can just literally type it in and be like, hey, start looking for this one. And it's now scanning for that one on top of all the other ones. And the fact that they know how to do this now is just, I'm just going to go out right and say this virus doesn't stand a chance anymore, at least here in New
Oh,
Jersey.
Kyle, why do you say that? That just like jinxed everything. Everyone just knock on wood. If you just listen to that, just please knock on wood. Okay? Don't jinx us like that, Kyle. You can't
I'm
say
sorry. It was a message of hope. I'm
I
sorry.
know. All right. And yeah, no, going back to what Issa said, which you said something about just the scientists and how like how thankful we are for them. And you mentioned something that made me think about how like during the pandemic, not everyone trusts the scientists, and still people don't trust the scientists, which is so, for me, it's mind blowing because like at this point I'm kind of like, how could you not trust the scientists? But there is still so many people who don't aren't ready to, and especially with the masks and the coronavirus and with the politics involved with it. Of course, these are my opinions and they do not reflect the opinions of the station, but for me, like at this point, like I completely trust the scientists. I feel like they know what's best, they have the proof behind it, they have the information, and I think it's so important to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's always important to trust like the experts and stuff, but I also wouldn't advise, wait, no. I also would advise taking almost everything you hear from anyone with a grain of salt, because there is the even if people are unaware of it, like as they are relaying information to you, there might be some like slight bias or warped perspective. So it's not that I don't believe the scientists. I mean, I wouldn't, like, there's nothing about this story that I read that makes me doubt, okay, they're not doing this to keep people safe. But in the grand scheme of things, anytime I hear something, good news or not, I'm always like, all right, this is what I'm being told. how much is, for lack of a better word, true, and how much is like personal opinion and stuff like that. So my opinion is my own, and not that of the station, like Sabrina said, but I always like to remain a little skeptical, worst case scenario, just in case.
Yeah, no, and there's a lot of fake news that goes around too. So I completely agree with you. As comm students, we learn a lot about this. The media can be biased, and that's how it
Yes,
is.
especially in this world like of news journalism, it's important to see how like easily people could twist, manipulate words, therefore also twisting the entire story and their entire intention behind the story, getting out a different message. So it's really important to just be careful what you read and make sure it's coming from multiple sources, not just from one little
Right.
piece of information. Even if it's like a prominent article or something that you respect, it's always important to get the whole scope. Like if I see one side of the story, I always like to see the other side, because this usually mentions half, and then the other part usually mentions half, and then something else also mentions an idea that wasn't earlier expressed. So it's important to have, like, I would say, I like to sometimes play devil's advocate just to get the whole scope and understanding of it, because behind everything there's some sort of logic or some sort of deeper hidden agenda. So it's just important to be skeptical and just be aware of where our news comes from and what it's trying to make us think.
Right.
All right, Issa, yeah. And on that note, we will kick off the second half of the show with some exciting news on beach etiquette, ice cream, and New Jersey Heroes news. We'll be right back on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. All right, we are back on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Moving on to some more upbeat and happier news. I'm really excited about this story, so I hope you guys enjoy this. But NewJersey.com is giving us tips on some beach etiquette. And if you're a beach lover like myself, I hope that you might take away some of these tips that I'm about to state for you guys. So there's actually 13 of them, and I'm going to go through them real fast, and then we're going to talk about them. So tip number 1 is no smoking. And I didn't know this, but apparently smoking is actually banned in most places right now. And starting next year, it will be illegal on all public beaches. So NewJersey.com says tip number 1, no smoking. Tip number 2, don't crowd people. I feel like this one is pretty self-explanatory. Tip number 3 is exhibit sand awareness. There's nothing worse than getting hit with sand when you least expect it. So I personally really support this rule. Tip number 4, keep your music down. Number 5, clean up after yourself. Number 6, play games on the side. This one is so true. Okay, I want to go into this later, but it is so true. At the beach, playing games like volleyball or frisbee or can jam, they're all fantastic, and they can definitely make your beach trip. Number 7, listen to the lifeguard, of course. Number 8, keep an eye on your children. Number 9, keep PDA to a minimum. Number 10, dress appropriately. Number 11, wear sunscreen. I don't know why people seem to forget this one all the time, but wear your sunscreen. It's not that hard. Just spray it on before you go in the water. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. Number 12, secure your stuff. And last but not least, number 13, don't leave your food out. You don't want the seagulls attacking your beach picnic area thing. You know what I mean, your beach area. Yeah. All right, guys, that sums up my rules, but I don't know where to start because I feel like I could go into so many things. I was at the beach yesterday, so this is so relevant in my life right now. But
I mean, before we start, I want to say it feels like there's only 10 rules about beach etiquette here, and the last 3 are kind of like the for yourself thing, because I don't know how not wearing sunscreen affects anyone else around you. So I mean, that's just my thought.
I mean, maybe it affects the people. I don't know. Maybe people don't like looking at extremely burnt people because it's sometimes it gets gross. When your skin peels and you're walking.
Oh yeah, peeling. I guess
it's not the most appealing thing to look at when you're laying there on the beach, not for nothing. But
Yeah.
Yeah, not only that, but I mean, tell me, like, when you get sunburned, like, I mean, at least in my opinion, when I get sunburned, I get angsty. Like, my skin hurts like, you get upset. You kind of compromise yourself and you put yourself in a bad state that's more likely to be rude and aggressive to others. So maybe you're just putting yourself in a bad state. Like, they're like, it's more like, don't hurt yourself to bet that
Right.
you mean to people or anything, or you don't want to just be more angsty. I mean, if you're ordering ice cream, you're like, oh no, I want it with sprinkles, not this. You know?
Oh, Issa, you bring up that's like a quality point right there, because you are more like angry and just unhappy and unpleasant when you have a bad sunburn. But speaking of being unhappy and unpleasant, the most important rule I think is number 3: exhibit sand awareness. Because literally, I was at the beach yesterday and my boyfriend was just eating his lunch. Right, he had gotten like a burger and fries from the stand, and he was just eating his burger. And then a little kid runs past him and kicks sand all over his food, and like obviously it's a child, so it's like you can't get mad, but it's just like, really, like now there's sand all over all of my food. It's like, how do you eat it? And I think this is such an important rule, because okay, like it's a child, so like you can cut slack for it, but like there's so many times when there are adults who just take up their towel and like wring it right in, they
Yeah.
shake it right in front of my area, and then the sand flies back in my face. And I don't know how you guys feel about sand, but like
I hate sand.
One of the reasons I do not like beaches is because of the sand.
You don't like the beach? Okay. I see. I'm not a big sand fan. Unless like you're in the water, I think it's fine. Stepping on sand, I don't mind. But like when you get sand like everywhere in your hair, like you get my point. It's just no one likes it. It's nasty. And yeah, I don't know. Have you guys ever had an issue with sand awareness?
I mean, it's usually a battle between me and my sister of first just being very hyper aware of the sand, and then if someone does it by accident, then it's a whole sand battle. It's almost like a snowball fight, but with sand.
Sand? Yeah, no, that's quality. You have a quality point. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've never really had an issue with like sand awareness, either myself not being sand aware or other people. It's just I get sand on me walking on the beach, and that's enough to annoy me. So I couldn't imagine like being kicked in the face with sand or having a sandwich ruined because of sand. It doesn't sound like a good time.
It does not sound like a good time either. Even like, I don't know if you guys have like had like, like drinks like soda and like water on the beach before, and like opened it, and then like you put it down on the sand, and then like someone kicks it, and then there's sand all over your drink. I just feel like I've had so many experiences where like people have tried to sabotage my food or beverages because of just kicking sand in my area, which really frustrates me.
Yeah.
But moving on to some other like points within this article.
I do have a question though, because there was one rule I was very confused about. What does it mean by play games on the side?
Oh, it means like play volleyball or frisbee on the side, or can jam, or that game with like the Velcro. It's like a Velcro like pancake, and you have a ball, and you like toss it, and you like catch it with like the Velcro thing.
Oh yes, I love those.
Like I don't know what it's called. But,
I
like,
don't either, but it's fun.
Like, some of those games are just so much fun. I mean, there are a lot of issues that can honestly come
Right.
on yourself because of these. Like, I don't know about you, but I've like played frisbee on the beach before and like knocked like the random person out before, and like that just goes back into like etiquette. like don't play.
Knocked them over or knocked them out, because
like,
those are two different things.
Out, but like like hit someone in the head, and they're like and you're like,
okay, yeah,
gosh, I'm sorry, like not fully out, but with playing games on the beach, make sure you do it on the side and you're away from people, because you don't want to be like me and like accidentally hitting random pedestrians.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of fun. But honestly, though, I feel like there are things they could have even added to this list. What do you guys think? Would you have added anything?
I mean, I really like the fact like to don't leave food out, because I noticed that I think this is just me, but I'm not sure about anyone else. But often I would see bees on the beach, and I'm always so scared, bees or wasps, because they're always like circling around food, and like I feel that's what's really big for me. But other than that, I mean,
Yeah, the sad thing about, I think you're talking about wasps, is that like the wasps and flies that are on the beach, we have no control over that, unfortunately, which is annoying because I've been on the beach too. Actually, I went this year and there were like a bunch of like flies just buzzing around us, and they're harmless. They bite you, but like it's not like a big deal, but it just ruins your mood.
Experience, yeah.
So, but unfortunately, there's not much we can personally do about that. How-
Sorry. I just like as I'm thinking, I believe just a last point that I would definitely add would be to clean up after yourself, other than don't leave food out, just to clean up in general. Because usually when I go to the beach, like it sometimes pains my heart to see that some people just like leave like boxes of food, like other than food, like sometimes cigarette stumps or like tissues. Like, come on, it's nature, it's the ocean. Like you don't want to come to a beach and have that something in your place or something. Like we're supposed to be here to relax and have fun, and enjoy nature, not just like dirty it.
Yeah,
Right.
no, 100%.
Yeah.
If I was gonna add a rule, I would talk about the umbrellas and just making sure your umbrella is like secure in the sand. Because even yesterday, someone's umbrella flew out of the ground when it got windy and like came, hurling towards me, and like that's something that people have actually gotten very injured.
Yeah.
People have been impaled because of these umbrellas. So just making sure that it's secure, having someone always just kind of like watching the area too, just in case if something does happen, they could run up and grab it.
Right.
Two is so important because like especially when you're on like a crowded beach, like umbrellas could be coming from all different directions and you don't want to get hurt. You just got to be aware.
Yeah.
I feel like some people, not to say this is bad, but some people just get in that like relaxed mood. They're not like thinking about anything else, and like obviously I want you to still be relaxed and having a good time, but like you still got to be aware of your surroundings and whatnot, and listening to the lifeguards, rule number 7, because that's important as well.
Right. Yeah, I'm not one of those relaxed people at the beach. The few times I actually step on one, but like I went a few weeks ago and I'm not a beach person a lot, and then so I'm not a big like water person or anything. So I was just sitting there. I sat by under the umbrella the whole time, kind of just like holding on to it, because even though the umbrella we have has like a spiral stake that twists into the ground, I'm still like, I don't want this flying away because that means I'm going to be hot. So let me just hold on to it for like several hours.
Oh my god, no, that was literally my boyfriend in the entire day yesterday, holding onto the umbrella under it. He was also reading a book too, which I like support, that's great. But no, it's fun. It's funny how we all have different opinions on the beach, because like for me, I'm like, yes, like I love the beach ever since I was a kid. When I go in the water, I am not Sabrina Hajsok. I am Sabrina the mermaid, and I am just like, swimming. I'm enjoying myself. I am like in there for like hours, letting my hands like turn into raisins, and like I don't care. I love it. I just feel so free and alive until I get sucked in by like the tide or the riptide, and then I end up landing in sand, which happened to me yesterday. So that was fun.
Wow.
Oh no, I mean. I completely relate with you, like on that level, Sabrina. I always found that whether it was the beach or the pool in the summer, but now like the beach and the waves, like I really feel one with the ocean. Like me and my sister when we were younger, and we would like swim in the water. We're like, oh, we're gonna taunt Poseidon and make him make bigger waves. And then when big waves came, we're like, okay, no, we're sorry. It was actually really funny.
No,
but yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, you can go. I just got like a little tickle in my throat. I'm gonna drink some water.
Oh no, it's okay. Hydrate. It might be Poseidon. But yeah, I always cherish those memories. Like maybe I'm not a fan of the beach because I don't like playing on the sand. I'm not a big fan of the heat.
You just talked about how much you love the ocean, and now you're.
But no, I was about to say I'm not a fan of the beach and the sand and the heat, but I love the ocean. I love swimming in the ocean. Like I could deal with that. If there was no beach and ocean, I would be so happy. Like I know there's some places in Europe where the beach is either cliffs or it's made of stones, like a bunch of little stones. Yeah. And I was so happy there. And on American beaches, I could still be happy, but I have to deal with the sand. It gives me like this extra discipline. But then I really cherish the times I'm in Europe and I'm on those stony beaches. So
interesting. Yeah, no, I have to disagree with you there. I think I prefer sand over stones, because I have been to stone beaches where it really hurts to like walk anywhere. Just getting to like the water is painful on my feet. So in that case, I would have to disagree with you politely, Issa. I'm so sorry. I hope our friendship is not ruined.
We'll have to agree to disagree. We need to sign a formal statement to not disagree with our friendship.
No. It is I don't know which. Well, I think I side a little bit more with Issa because I am not a sand person at all. I hate sand. I hate sand almost as much as I hate peanut butter. And if anyone
Kyle,
has
get
listened,
out. Kyle, you need to get out of the show. How do you
I
hate peanut butter? Bruh,
I can't
come
get
on.
out of the show. I'm running everything here. If I leave,
Fire.
there's a problem. But I've been on both sand and stone beaches, and I like the stone beaches a little more because stones are obviously a lot bigger, and so they don't get everywhere. So like they're not like you're not covered in stones if you lay down on a stone beach. And I will admit it's probably a lot rougher to walk on. And it's been years since I went to the beach, so I don't remember the feeling, but I just the thought of like tiny, like moderate sized stones, not like these big cliff sized boulders, but I like that idea. And I actually have a rock from like a black stone beach that I went to years ago, I think out in California. And I
Oh,
don't know. It's just a fun little thing to keep.
that's cool. I like that, Kyle. I mean, I disagree with you still, but like I
That's
like
fair.
you have a rock. I also have many rocks. I had a rock collection when I was a kid, so I have a full box of rocks. But speaking of summer news, Kyle,
Ice cream. So, according to NJ.com, this February, Nelson Chang, the owner of the Carvel ice cream shop in Hamilton, New Jersey, passed away due to COVID. Many former employees came to pay their respects, but one of them, Denise Bongiovi, and her husband bought the business from Chang's family and reopened it this past week. Denise recalls a lifelong relationship with Chang, from him serving her ice cream as a kid, working for him during her high school and college years, and even bringing her own kids to the shop. She said, quote, I just felt like I couldn't see it sit. I couldn't see it close. And I think the community just needed someone to be here who knew him and loved him and respected him. End quote. Denise and Joe Bongiovi are receiving a ton of support from the community, and even other former employees have returned to help run the shop and train the next crew. So the ice cream shop in Hamilton stays in business, and just everybody is happy about it because it's not just like, oh, it's an ice cream shop. It's great. We get our ice cream there, whatever. Like everybody who like worked here and a lot of the customers had this like interpersonal relationship with the owner, Nelson Chang. Like he knew their orders by heart. He talked to them. He stayed in touch with all the former, like all of his former employees, like once they left for college or whatever. So like this isn't just an ice cream shop. This was like a community all in one. And everyone was really sad once he passed away due to COVID. And they're just glad that like his legacy keeps on going. And as Denise said, like they thought like it can't just be anyone to reopen the shop. It has to be somebody who had that kind of connection with him, that like really got along with him and knew what he was about.
yeah, no, I think that's fantastic, especially because Carvel. I don't know about you guys, but have you guys ever had a Carvel ice cream cake? Because they are to die for. Literally, they are
I
so.
have had one. Yeah.
I might have. It's not like I have had a lot of like celebrations and stuff where there's ice cream cake. So I don't know like what brand made it or whatever.
Hmm.
But I'm like almost positive at least once in my life I've had an ice cream cake from Carvel. And I prefer real cake over an ice cream cake.
Oh,
But like,
wait, what? Kyle, once again, get out. You are kicked off this show once again. No,
Wait,
no,
That's
no.
like a childhood favorite. How could you not like the combination
it's
of the
very
cake
good.
and ice cream?
But no, there's a difference between a
Cake is
combination of cake and
very
ice cream.
No, ice cream cake is better.
I don't know. Like I think if it's an ice cream cake, there needs to be some cake with the ice cream. I find it, well, to me, it's just ice cream. If it's just an ice cream cake made nothing of ice cream,
But
it's just a block of ice cream.
It also has the frosting aspect, and it has like those little fudge pieces.
Yeah.
Those
Has the-
crumbles.
The fudge and the cake crunch mixed within it.
The cake crunch, I will give you. The cake crunch is amazing.
right?
No matter who makes the cake, if there's cake crunch in it, I love it.
It's unique. You can't call it an ice cream cake. It's almost like an ice cream creation, but like you can't find that in any other cake. So It's unique. And some places, I mean, some Carvels that I've been to when I was younger, like you could choose the ice cream and everything, and they can mix it for you. Like that's really cool too.
That is cool. I will admit. I don't know. I guess I prefer the bit of the spongy texture to the ice cream. Also, my teeth are a little bit more sensitive, so cold things are not great. So that might be part of the reason.
Well, maybe what you should do, I have a solution. Put your ice cream cake in a bowl, melt it a little bit. It'll be lukewarm, and it'll be
But doesn't that just become like a milkshake at that point?
No, actually,
like I feel
actually, speaking of that, my wonderful uncle and grandfather, who both loved Carvel and loved ice cream, who have unfortunately both passed away, but they would always microwave it for a little bit or put it in the heat, leave it out to thaw for like 2 or 3 minutes, and it actually turned into this warm, melted like heaven and goodness. And it actually transformed the whole experience of eating ice cream. I recommend if you have an ice cream cake or even like put ice cream in a bowl, melt it just a little bit, maybe add a little bit of milk to it or something, and it melts it and it does something. Like, I don't know what happens, like some sort of magic goes into it. It really tastes good.
I love how you put it, Issa, like spot on. Magic happens when you let your ice cream cake sit out a little bit. Kyle, honestly, I just take a little bit of offense to this because I used to work at an ice cream shop and I made, like, I was the cake maker. Like, I made all the ice cream cakes. I decorated all the ice cream
That
cakes.
sounds fun.
So, I don't know. It's just, it hurts a little bit, Kyle, but like,
I'm sorry.
whatever.
I don't hate ice cream cake. I like the ice cream cake. I have no problem with it.
You prefer to eat sponges instead. I get it. It's like some
Not sponges, like actual sponges.
I know. I'm just
ever since I was younger, I'm sorry, Kyle, too, but I never liked the cake. Like I would always take the frosting, but not the cake. Like I don't know what is it.
I would just like the frosting or the middle part, and like the cake itself is like okay, like I'll eat it because it's there, but like it's never. I don't go out of my way to eat it. Like I just eat it.
Exactly. Like yeah, if someone gives me a cake, like yeah, the frosting is sweet, or like if they have sometimes if it's the cake is flavored something, yeah, they could get away with it. But usually, like no offense, there's nothing to cake that's exciting. Like it's just a pure block of like I don't know something like a cookie is more exciting than a cake. I'm sorry, it just in my logic.
Guess it's a bad time to bring up that I really like vanilla cake then.
Oh my.
Well, okay. To be fair, if I had to choose between like vanilla and chocolate, like full-on chocolate cake can be kind of overbearing sometimes.
Yeah.
So I would have to go with vanilla too, but vanilla ice cream cake. That's where it's at, you know?
Oh, totally. Vanilla ice. I love vanilla ice cream.
Good, as you should.
You should have a serious sit-down talk after this, Kyle, and really reanalyze your personality. You have to come out with these truths that we never knew about you.
Not just your choices; it's your whole personality, Kyle.
You're someone different. Behind that mask, you're hiding something.
Well, after this week, Dodger will be back, and you will never have to hear from me again. I'll just be in the background.
No!
We're kidding, Kyle. Oh.
I know. But on a more serious note, out of not ice cream cake, but ice cream itself, like what would be your favorite flavors?
So, okay. Sorry, Isa. Honestly, my favorite flavor, I like mint Oreo, which is kind of different, but that's my personal favorite flavor of ice cream.
No, I must completely agree. For me, I like the classic flavors like cookies and cream.
Yeah.
Same thing. I love mint chip. I remember once I tried like a cherry vanilla flavor with piece of cherry that I really liked. But ever since I was younger, my hands down go to like ice cream. Like my parents, I don't know why, they never let me eat the cotton candy or like the birthday cake batter flavor because they're like, oh, that's unhealthy. And they're like, and then my logic was like, oh, but ice cream's unhealthy anyway. So whenever I would go to the ice cream shop with like for a special occasion, I got good grades or something, I would always take like a cotton candy ice cream and ask for like a bunch of sprinkles, like so much, like every, like I didn't have sprinkles at home, so like a lot of sprinkles. And that was like my go-to.
Right. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree a little bit with both of you. Cookies and cream, cake batter, those are my favorite. I think I've had a flavor called Cookie Monster once.
Ooh, those are good too.
Yeah, it's not bad. I recently had Funfetti Oreo, And I don't know what
Ooh.
is in the funfetti stuff.
Ask what's in funfetti.
I don't know, but there's a Pillsbury cake called funfetti. It's like vanilla cake with like these little rainbow things of, I'm guessing, sugar. And I guess they took those or some version of those and put them in the ice cream. And it was pretty good. I'm going on it's just dyed sugar or something like that. But it was a little bit much. But the best ice cream I've ever had, I don't know the name of the place it was at, but it's the best ice cream because of the name of the flavor, was an ice cream flavor called Robert Brownie Jr.
Oh, that's so funny.
It remains my favorite
Oh,
ice cream to this day solely because of the name.
Oh, I was like, you have to explain what's in it. Like, is it just
Brownies, I guess. I think it was like vanilla ice cream with like cookies or brownie chunks in it, something like that. It was like one of those heavy ice creams that are like speckled with other desserts.
Hmm.
A
Yeah, no,
bunch
that
of
sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, in New Jersey recently, I was actually I was with my cousins, and they went to this famous ice cream shop. I forgot the name, unfortunately, but it was like a family business, and they had one flavor called actually uh American Heroes flavor, the first line Heroes flavor. And I asked what it was, and it was like, apparently, like, since everyone knew each other, there were a lot of doctors and nurses, especially during the time in the beginning of the pandemic, who had to work, and they analyzed which flavors did people like the most, and they kind of combined it, and it was like it was kind of like a cake batter flavor mixed with cherry and strawberry, something like that, but it was
Oh,
pretty
wow.
good. And they said that like, whoever bought that ice cream, all the money would go to those people. Like, it was split up and it would go to those people. So for me, like, it was just such a clever idea. It was called American, I believe, American Frontline Heroes flavor, and it
Oh,
was just
wow.
something. It was such a unique but interesting contribution, and yeah, I thought that was a very interesting and really nice flavor, like, to kind of put out there.
I love that. And speaking of heroes, in Missouri, 15-year-old Dominic Viette and 16-year-old Joseph Denier saved a drowning woman. Throughout the month of June, there were over 6 inches of storm rain that was dumped all over Missouri without any warning, causing floodwaters from creeks to burst their banks, which result in overflow zones to turn into ponds. The two Boy Scouts were passing the once basketball court, which was now flooded and turned into a water polo area, when they heard frantic shouting coming from a young woman. Dominic told CNN, start quote, "The first thing that came into my mind was to get into the water. We didn't have time to think. Her head was barely above the water, and we could see her sinking more down every second. We didn't think about the risks. We had to get her out." End quote. The two boys hoisted her up onto their shoulders and got her safely ashore, where she was then rushed to the hospital. So this is just a happy story to end our show with, because really what these boys did was immaculate. And these types of situations, it's so hard to know how you're going to react in them. Like, so many people would have done so many different things. Like, it's sad to say, but like, I would not be surprised if some people heard her shouting and continued to walk,
Right.
and didn't want to deal with it. Oh, that's not my problem. Oh, I gotta go somewhere. But these two young boys went straight into action. Like, they moved, they were like, we need to help this lady. And I don't know, part of me wonders, like, is that part of, like, since they were both boy scouts, was that part of their like mentality? And like, if they weren't Boy Scouts, would they still have done this?
I think no, I'd like to give people credit. So I think Boy Scouts or not, they still would have done this. But I do think them being Boy Scouts probably prepared them a little more than, say, if they weren't. Because I wouldn't exactly, like, I'm being honest, I wouldn't exactly know how to save somebody from drowning. I mean, I would have a basic idea of what to do, but like, they were probably like dead set prepared for something like very close to this exact situation. So I think definitely them being Boy Scouts was a huge advantage to them in terms of like helping this woman.
Yeah, and I must say, this is amazing that they like, even with like a group like Boy Scouts, that they teach such things like to young children. Like, now, well, these weren't young children, these were teenagers, but still having like the youth prepared to help and save other people, that's amazing. Like, the fact that they're capable to do this. I'm just really proud of them, number one. And number two, I'm so thankful that they were there at the right place at the right time with the right capabilities to really help. So yeah, that is amazing. And my heart really goes out to that, like really great job. Like my cousins are one used to be a Boy Scout, one is now becoming a Boy Scout, and they're learning something similar. And for me, I really look up to that because those are amazing skills. Like here, you could save someone's life.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. I feel like Boy Scouts, like when you're growing up, is something that's seen. It's kind of sad, like as like, oh, like that's like a dorky thing. Like people say that, like the stereotypical, like, oh, like that's not that cool. But like I think that being a Boy Scout is so cool and it's so beneficial. And there's so many great skills that you could learn in that program within life and just knowing how to save someone and how to react in these certain situations. And I really feel like this should be part of like the general education like requirement almost. Like
Maybe.
this is important to know what to do in these situations. And really good job to these two young boys because like they're still young.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're not adults yet. Like they were probably
they're legally not adults.
they're literally just like two boys like walking through the park and like, you know, they knew how to react in that situation, which is fantastic.
And the thing is, it's not even like this was like a controlled body of water, like a pool that she was drowning in. This was like in a flood.
Yeah.
And the good news, you have a quote from the Good News Network about like what kind of stuff can be in the floodwater, right, Sabrina?
Yeah. So Good News Network writes, start quote, floodwaters are no conditions to be swimming in. There can be sewage runoff, loose chemicals, down power lines charging the current with electricity, or physical debris such as manholes covers that have been lifted out of their sockets by the force of the water, end quote. So yeah, the idea that this lady, I don't know why she was swimming in the floodwater. I guess it looks safe. It could have been a little deceiving, but yeah, it's definitely not safe to swim in floodwater. That's for sure.
Yeah. And the boys could have had a much harder time saving her. Like they said, if there was down power lines, now you're dealing with electrically charged water. And we all know water and electricity don't mix very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could have been devastating for the three of them too, if something were to have gone wrong.
Right.
But thankfully, I don't think that was the case. But yeah, that's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like many people really underestimate the power of nature, and it's important just to be very skeptical and very aware. Even something as fun as a snowstorm, you should just be very cautious.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, I think this concludes our episode for today. You are listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. This has been the Tuesday Morning Buzz. I am Sabrina.
I am Kyle Pepitone.
And
I am Isa Winek.
And we hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day and enjoy this beautiful weather. Bye.
Bye. You're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, where music stays cool.